So I bought a Sinden light gun. It's this thing right here. And it's got a pump action. It's got recoil, which you can't hear right now. There's a bunch of buttons on it. There's a D-pad and everything. And then I bought a pedal from Amazon, a USB pedal to work as well. You can see where I'm going with this. But we have Time Crisis working here with the Sinden light gun, the pedal, and everything just works. And I'm having the time of my life. Now, if that footage doesn't immediately sell you on today's video, then I don't know what to say. Take up pottery or something, I guess. You're not built for this life. But that's going to be today's video. All about the Sinden light gun, all about the pedal, and all about my experience using everything and playing light gun games in 2026 and what the best way is to do so. First, let's talk about everything here. The light gun is called the Sinden light gun, and my model here has the extra optional recoil, which will absolutely wake the dead. It's loud, but it's awesome. It's what you want it to be. You buy this from one source, the Sinden website, which I paid 301 Canadian dollars for, plus another $27 in duties to Alberta, or 220-ish dollars US before duties or whatever you have to pay in the US. Sinden light guns work differently than other light guns. With Sinden, you use a white border around the game that acts as the calibration for the way that the gun to know that this is where it needs to apply to. With pretty much every other gun, you need to add IR LEDs either around the monitor or under or above the monitor and all that sort of thing. So it is extra work and extra hardware. I was playing Time Crisis within 1 minute of setting up my Sinden light gun. That is how plug and play it is. It is just one straight USB-A to your PC or whatever you're using. I was using Batocera, and all I had to do was hold the D-pad left for 5 seconds, shoot at the center of the screen, and I was done, and I'm ready to go. And so let's talk about that next. I am running Batocera. It is a version of Linux that is on my mini PC with my arcade cabinet. I have mine installed onto the SSD, but you can run Batocera off of any USB drive. That is how I used it for about a month off of a USB drive, so it's fine. So step one for today, if you wanted to do what I'm doing, is just install Batocera onto a USB. Plug it into a PC and boot into it. Now I can't help you with games, but hey, add Time Crisis for PS1 to start with. That is the easiest beginning option. One other thing, as of this video, the latest Batocera is version 43 called Butterfly. So you do want to be on that version if you plan to do any of this. To do so, just push start, updates and download, update type, and choose Butterfly and then start update. The other part to this with the Sinden is the pedal. Now Sinden does sell their own pedals for an extraordinary amount of money. Or you just go to Amazon, pay 20 bucks, and you get a USB pedal made by Ikegol, whatever they're called. For this to work, at least on Batocera, you need to do two things. Plug it into a Windows PC, download their Elf key software, open it, and change the key that it outputs to the letter C. That is what Batocera wants and what it's mapped to. Once you do that, plug it into your Batocera machine, and now your light gun and pedal all work. That is literally how easy this thing was to get running. Without the pedal, within Batocera, it was up and running within a minute. I was playing the game within a minute. Add the pedal, which took a few extra steps on another PC, and 5 minutes total, and I'm off shooting people in whatever games I'm playing. That is one of the reasons why I bought this. One of the reasons why I wanted it is that it's just plug and play with Batocera or whatever. On Windows, a little bit different. We'll talk about that, but that is the reason why you would want this overall. Now, of course, there are other settings in the software that you can adjust if you want to. Push start, head to controller and Bluetooth settings, and then Sinden gun settings, and you can adjust the border size. I have been using thin, it's been perfect, but depending on your area, you might need to use a thicker border, especially if you have direct sunlight on the monitor. I also have the border to only show in-game personally. I use my arcade stick and buttons to navigate around Batocera, so this is your call, but I just use it in-game. And then lastly, you can adjust the recoil if you have the recoil version. There's a few fun options like machine gun or making it quieter and all that. The recoil can be super loud, so you might want to lower the loudness if you are annoying people. And that was really it. and everything kind of worked. For PlayStation 1, you just want to make sure you're using DuckStation as the emulator. So you can push select and then emulator and set it to DuckStation, and that'll use it for all games in PS1. Or if you just want to use DuckStation for specific light gun games, you can find the game and push and hold A, advanced game options, and then choose DuckStation as the emulator for the game. If you scroll down, there are usually light gun settings or a section. You can enable crosshairs or whatever you want. But like, that is it. That's it. What we did there, you can do for any system. At this point, load games into your ROMs folder in Batocera and start shooting things. It was that easy. I cannot stress how easy this was. You can also push start, head to game collection settings, automatic game collections, and enable light gun games. This will put it right on the main screen of Batocera as a tile for any games that it knows are light gun games. And they'll all be here nicely grouped for you to just go in and play. If you come across games that aren't in here that should be, just push and hold A on the game, edit this game's metadata, and then choose light gun shooter as the genre. It should show up in that after refreshing Batocera. But let's take a look at some of the games that I've been playing across different systems with the Sinden light gun on Batocera. Now there are two negatives that I found to Batocera, and it's for Steam games and Windows games. I believe that in version 44, which is upcoming, that they're going to support more of these types of games, but right now it is super hit and miss. But there are so many good light gun games on both, like Blue Estate, for instance, on Steam, that are awesome games, not expensive, and they use the light gun nicely, that you want a way to play those games. So Sinden on the Windows side does require some setup. When I say some setup, compared to Batocera, it is like a whole other beast. But Batocera was like, you plug it in and you go. On the Windows side, you have to install and do a bunch of things. All I did was follow their wiki, which had instructions, and it was super easy. Took a few minutes to get up and running, and that was it. They also have instructions for popular games on how to get them working with the Sinden. Blue Estate is plug and play. That worked. I just had to go into the setting and enable light gun, and we were good. But House of the Dead Remake needs a whole mod plugin to get it to work with light guns and whole other steps. You would think that House of the Dead would have native support for light guns, but no, they removed it or don't have it, whatever it is. Super weird. So it is a bit of a hit and miss type thing with games on Steam and Windows, or we'll talk about Steam for now. That said, the documentation is awesome. There's lots of it for all the popular games. And if you can't find any game, then their Discord has everything else. So it's all super useful. Now, besides Steam, there are Windows arcade games. There is something called Techno Parrot, which once again, the wiki covers literally everything to do with setting it up and even for games. But this is where you can play arcade games like Tomb Raider, which is usually in arcades that you might find, or Time Crisis 5, or whatever down the road. There's a ton of games via Techno Parrot that you can play. They're all just basically Windows arcade games. As far as I know, these are all coming to Batocera in the future, maybe, whatever it is. But for now, I just boot into the Windows side for Steam and Windows. Everything else, all the emulators and all that, I stick to Batocera for, because it all just works and I don't have to do anything. But here's the thing. So my journey for light gun games was using the Wiimote, which I did videos on before, up to this. And while the Wiimote is awesome, I had a ton of issues trying to get it to just work with other emulators. I was going to do a whole video on getting the Wiimote to work with RetroArch and DuckStation and PCSX2 and all that sort of thing. And it was such a hassle. It literally was. I was like writing up instructions, and as I was doing it, I'm like, I don't know that I could make this video. I really don't. And there is some really cool software. There is something called Gunmote for the Wiimote, which is pretty cool, and all these sorts of things that it made it tough. And then this arrives, and all I did was plug it in and shoot things a minute later, and it threw all of that out the window. So while I understand that there's a huge price difference between a Wiimote and the Sinden light gun, that's the video I want to make, is on the Sinden light gun, because I think this is like the best way that you can play light gun games in 2026. It's certainly the easiest, that's for sure. Now, the one thing that's going to be prohibitive here is the price of the Sinden light gun. It's $220 US, so that is prohibitive for a lot of people. That being said, if you do invest in one, there is untold number of games that you can play with a light gun. Like, so many. I've put in pretty much everything that I could find, plus all the Windows arcade games, plus all the games on Steam. you get a lot of use out of it. So it's not something like you're buying it for one game at least. There is a lot, but I can understand that, hey, $220, you might have to like light gun games quite a bit to invest in it. That being said, it's one of the most fun that I've been having with retro games in a very long time, because those are games that like you can't play with anything else. You can use a mouse, but that's boring and cheating. You want to use an actual gun. So that was my experience and just enjoying it. So what was the point for today's video? I don't know if I have one. I wanted to talk about the Sinden light gun and why it's the best way that you could play light gun games in 2026, because combined with Batocera, it just works on everything. Literally everything. I was playing Wii, which works. So if you want that experience, then install Batocera, grab a Sinden light gun, and just start shooting things. It's awesome. Don't forget to like and sub to help the channel grow. Come join me on the Discord to talk all about retro gaming, and hope you all have a good one.